Hey guys, welcome back as always. My name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be talking about how you should update your builds, your weapon builds to be more specific for the brand new Whispers in the Wall content. Now normally we used to run Vital and Slash because let's be honest, most of the time that did the best job. However, when it comes to the brand new content introduced with Whispers in the Wall, you got yourself a brand new faction called the Murmur. But the Murmur have two types of creatures overall. These stone looking things and these necromech looking things. Keep in mind that both of these things are considered as Murmur when it comes to faction damage. More on that later. However, the necromechs are more susceptible to corrosive damage as you might expect, as the Murmur themselves, those weird rocky looking things, they are susceptible to radiation damage. Let's take a couple of examples. You can go to the Murmur section right here. You have yourself your Rogue Cullervan. Now you're gonna see a lot of these guys. Basically, they're everywhere in the missions. And as you can see here, they are susceptible to corrosive and puncture damage. That's because they're equipped with ferrite armor. But if you are to remove that armor, what do you got left? Machinery. And in that case, believe it or not, Blast has 75% damage extra. Every single plus or minus that you see means 25%. Now, if you're going to be taking a look at the Hallowed Vein, now this is one of the more beefier targets. Take a look at that EHP Fantastic 15,000, and it also has some damage mitigation abilities when it goes into its melee attack form. You'll see it's going to be taking 75% more from radiation. So that means what exactly? Hold on. I can't have radiation and corrosive on the same build. You can because hold on a second. Digital Extremes actually sought this one and introduced brand new mods that simply give you the radiation elemental combo. Now normally they don't really introduce mods that give you an elemental combo, but they did make an exception with Whispers in the Wall. And you have fantastic mods such as Atomic Fallout. Now this one is for shotguns. It's gonna be giving you radiation and magazine capacity. Obviously it's not the only one. You also got accelerated isotope, radiation and fire rate. You also got radiated reload for your primary weapons as in your rifles, and again Atomic Fallout for shotguns. You even got one that's not linkable currently for some reason for heavy weapons, believe it or not, and I'm using it currently on the Mandonel. This one is called Containment Breach, and by far this is the most powerful because it gives you multi-shot and radiation. Some of these mods next to the radiation stat give you something utilitarian such as reload speed, which can be great depending on the weapon or can be borderline useless, like in the case of the turret with a 1.2 second reload. But this one gives you that multi-shot. The secondary one for pistols gives you fire rate, so those are the more beefier ones. Now let's talk about the turret. We're going to be using the turret as an example in how to upgrade your build or change your build, better said, to fit Whispers in the Wall. What I have on my build, I got radiation and corrosive, and none of those elements are coming from the Riven that I'm using. Oh, by the way, if you don't have a Riven, you can replace that one with some faction damage. Type in Murmur. In case you didn't get it by now, you can farm the Bane of the Murmur. We don't have a prime variant just yet. If you're going to be running a damage over time build, something like Slash, then yes, having that faction modifier that double dips is definitely worth it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, link in the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on Hunter munitions. Trust me, it goes a lot into the damage types and how they apply and calculations and formulas of Warframe. So you'll understand basically why faction damage double dips and why sometimes it definitely packs one hell of a punch. Not all the time though. So you're looking at something like this. We're going to be using the 90s because at the end of the day we don't need 1,000 corrosive rocks, we need only 10 that you're going to be getting on this weapon just like that. And radiated reload is here as well. Galvanized aptitude is a must-have. Velocity is, by all intents and purposes, optional. It helps me aim better with the projectile-based attack. As for primary merciless, you can get rid of this one. There's a lot of flat damage on this build because you also got galvanized aptitude. The Kriata also has some damage, and this one is also some flat damage instead. What you can do is go for something like primary frostbite and have your little sentinel prime your targets with cold, which will be proccing that frostbite. But you should also have vital on it, especially if you're going to be running again a damage over time build such as with Hunter munitions. What we're going to be doing next is spawning some targets level 180 with the Steel Path modifier enabled. We're going to be going for that Rogue Cullervan and the beefy Hallowed Vein, so you can see exactly what the weapon can do. But to make it a bit more realistic, let's unpause the target so they can hit me and I can get my glorious buffs. If I'm gonna be putting down the Wisp buffs though, then I'm just gonna annihilate everything, so there is that. We're not gonna use the Wisp buffs. Should we use the... No Wisp buffs, here you go. Just gonna charge the weapon like so. Absolutely murdering in a nanosecond everything that stands before you. Take a look at that. Beautiful, fantastic damage. Even the Hallowed Vein, which again are extremely beefy as far as targets are concerned, get melted down relatively easily. Now, of course, this is the turret, and if you guys need more details on the turret, why is it so powerful, what incarnations to pick, yada yada yada, the logic behind it, look at the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on the turret. It's one of the most powerful primary weapons in the game right now. And it's certainly one of the most powerful in combination with how comfortable it is, because again, I don't need headshots to charge my turret. I just did it with a couple of body shots. Especially easy with that projectile flight speed, since you don't really need the increased range. So this is an example of what you can do for the brand new Whispers in the Wall content. Now let's get a bit more specific when it comes to some of these enemies, starting with the Rogue Cullervin. You might know these. They don't really have a headshot multiplier per se. You might say, hey, that big round thing is their head, right? Huh? No. Well, technically yes, but no. They have weak points on the shoulders. You see these canisters? You gotta blow them out using your weapon damage. When you do blow one out, the whole arm goes to smithereens, and if you blow out the second one, any day now, then the Cullervin goes into a self-destruct mode after a couple of ticks, basically exploding and dealing damage to everybody around him. However, if the Rogue Cullervin dies under that self-destruct effect, then you're not going to be getting any procs from your kill arcane, so bear that one in mind. Next up, the Hollowed Vein. The Hollowed Vein is extremely beefy. You got a whole lot of HP here, and you gotta hit them with radiation damage. Thankfully, they do have a headshot multiplier. You gotta hit the thing, yes, that little thing that's wobbling right there. 982 on a yellow. If you're gonna get a yellow on a body shot, it should be 654. So yes, you do have that headshot multiplier. The problem with the Hollowed Vein is the fact that they have two forms of attack. A melee attack, which they go like this, and they channel something, and that's when they get a whole lot of damage mitigation. And they also have a ranged laser beam attack that if it hits you, it should debuff you. When they do their range attack, that is the laser beam, they are weak to taking the normal amount of damage. But in their melee stance, when they go all nutty and channel at you, they get a lot of damage mitigation, so it's best to run away and let them finish their channel or try to attack you at range. Again, these enemies are not something that you see like 20 of them in a mission coming in the same wave. They're a bit more rare. They're the tougher targets, as you might think. Talking about lesser targets, these guys. These are the Severed Warden, and you gotta hit them in the hand. It's as simple as that. That's their weak point. You gotta hit them in the hands. And if they are next to other enemies, they're gonna be buffing them with overshields. It doesn't really matter what enemies they'll have behind them or next to them. They're gonna be getting those overshields. So it may be a smart idea at the first kill the wardens and then whatever it is they're protecting. As for the atomizer, if you shoot right through the middle, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so you might think, dude, I gotta hit it right in the middle. There's a little thing right there. No. The atomizer, from my testing at least, does not have an actual weak point. It doesn't matter where you hit it. It just doesn't have a headshot multiplier. And if you go straight through the middle, again, nothing. If you try to hit the hands like this, again, nothing. So just hit them, and that's pretty much it. We got more Necromex right here. Finally, the doggos. Now, the doggos, you might think they have some sort of cool, quirky mechanic, and well, no, they don't really. Just hit them in the head. That's it. They do have a headshot multiplier. It's where you would believe it would be. Now, of course, what about the big guy, the big 60i boss? Well, if you want to know more details on that one, look at the cards right now. And well, my friends, I believe that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if the content was useful to you. And I'll definitely catch you guys in the next one. Bye.